Alright, the following is a test. I took a look at my file size and I realized that I was working on a canvas that was really large, and I reduced it by quite a bit. I should still have plenty of resolution to come out with a decent looking final image, but I've always been of a mind that the larger the canvas, the better. The more detail you can work in, um, and ultimately, especially when you're working in Photoshop as opposed to a vector-based program like Illustrator or Corel, um, your when you start off with a low-resolution image, it really limits your capacity to print it on larger media. Like if you want to put it up on a big canvas somewhere. If you start off with a really small size, file size, really small canvas, it'll it'll just look like ass. So better to work large and then reduce down. And I just took it to an extreme, I think. So um, we'll see what, because I mean it all depends on the limitations of your computer and ultimately like how many things you have going on at once when you're working. And you know, I until recently I hadn't really gotten into streaming, so I'm not entirely sure how much processing power is being pulled on it. And I know that working in Photoshop can be pretty processor heavy and RAM heavy, so um, working on a humongous file size um, could really have an impact on your overall performance when you're trying to do multiple things at once. So as you can see, even with the file size being reduced to like a third, actually I reduced it by 2/3, so this file is about a third the size that it used to be, and it doesn't look like it's lost anything. You can really zoom in and still get tons of detail. Um, so I'll be working from this file size from here on in, maybe in future projects as well. I don't know. We'll just see. I'm not going to do too much tonight. I got a late start, and again, I'm not really planning on tonight being a huge broadcast. I'm just gonna I'll try to add a couple details and call it a night. Um, I'll be I'll be streaming primarily Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on this project, and I'll be working on other projects on the remainder of the week until I have them completed. So uh, this project is going to be an ongoing long game project. It's going to take months to complete because once I'm done with the initial concept art, I'm going to move on to 3D modeling. So this will become a fully realized and fully rendered, fully textured 3D model, possibly even with an environment in the background by the time it's done, sometime in August. So I'll see how much I can get done of it, and how far I can push it. In the meantime, come with me on this journey if you are interested in seeing the process. You're more than welcome. So tunic lines copy. There were a couple of details that I wanted to work into my design. Primarily, I have a belt, a couple of pouches. I want to add a dagger to his thigh here, and a sword on this side. I'll want to take a closer look at how those things are attached in real armor, and I might want to also look to, say, Lord of the Rings or something as an example to get inspiration. to see the most artful way I could do this, because I don't just want to make it up. I want it to be based, at least in part, in reality, in part in fantasy, and see where it takes me. I'm doing a lot of talking right now. Less talking, more drawing. Alright. Create a new layer. Form my belt lines. And also, as you're working, it's very, very important to name your layers. Just as a, especially if you're working on a complicated project with lots and lots of layers, because that's how I tend to work, lots and lots of layers. It's very easy to get lost if you don't make a note of where you're at and where you want to go with it. Oh, let's see. Do I actually have my brush settings in place for this? Alright, well, it appears that my rotation control is not working, and that is frustrating as hell. Why? Why do you do this to me? Come on now. Right now I'm just trying to figure out a couple things. There we go. Let's go do that belt line. Okay, there. Bushes. There we go. It's alive. I was so concerned. I was thinking I was going to have to abort already before I even threw any lines down, and that was just going to be very disappointing. Here we go. Alright. First, let's turn off the tunic entirely, and the chainmail. Let's just go all the way back down to the guide layer. Pants, hood, hood. I turn everything off, except, wow, that's awful. Let's see if I have anything else. That's an approximation of what I wanted it to look like. Okay. Alright, I will throw down a sketch layer so that I can mark out the approximate shape and really sort of flesh out the curve before I start laying down detail lines. That's how I tend to work. And get the tunic lines in place. Hmm. Switch over to pencil. Zoom in. And really start laying down. See, I like to sketch. I find that I can get a lot more control over the overall shape when I sketch as opposed to when I try to lay down a single thick marker line. And I will probably put some sort of Celtic knot symbol inside this circle and some more elaborate designs on the exterior of it. Of course, the belt has a little bit of a leftover. Come down. All right. Let's see about adding that pouch. there's anything that breaks the silhouette a little bit, it makes things a little more interesting. Who knows what kind of goodies he has in this bag. Herbs, potions, holy hand grenades, who knows? I really want to sneak some fun pop culture references in the final render. If I have time to create a background, I want to have a chalkboard with some calculations on the airspeed velocity of a swallow or something like that. Some sort of like Holy Grail reference. I also want to have a travel brochure to Bermuda from The Sword and the Stone, the Disney Arthurian classic. Not crazy about that strap. Have that come down like that. We'll have it bulging full with something. Some sort of goodness inside. Maybe glowing so that you'll have a idea that maybe there's something magical in there, but you don't know what. Alright. And then, since I'm on an additional layer anyway, I'm not going to create a separate layer for this. But I have the rough placement of the tunic lines here. So I will work on some stuff. First off, I kind of want to split this. Maybe have that flare out a bit more, actually. That comes down to a point. This can come out. And come around. Maybe a little less extreme than that. Maybe more like that. and then come around. But anyway, that can be front of the tunic, the lower half. Since the pouch is here weighing things down, this tunic gets a little crumpled up, and it can also come down this way. Alright, so that's there. And then this seam sort of continues. This is a side panel that goes all the way up. Actually, it would not start there. Let's see. Come up from here. Continue on. Up the arms. This could actually be a two-tone tunic, which I like that idea. Dividing it up a little bit, making it a little more interesting. Remind myself that I'm dealing with a three-dimensional form. So its flows and curves are informed by that. And then I can do like some sort of awesome stitching detail in here, because it's not, he didn't get this at Abercrombie Fitch. It's, you know, probably hand sewn. Well, definitely hand sewn. They didn't have any sewing machines back then. But I'm saying is he might have made this himself. You never know. Continues up the sleeve. The sleeve itself actually probably could use some stitch work. Yeah, these are some decent ideas that I want to work into the design. Also, I had been saying that I was thinking about adding some sort of like leather pauldron, some sort of armored shoulder guard to the design. And then, of course, once I do that, I'll have to figure out a way to secure it. I'll have to look at armor and how it, the best way to realistically attach it to the rest of his outfit. More than likely, it's going to be a strap that goes across his body. Anyway, I'm digging this. I might even want to have a secondary pattern that comes down here and continues on, like so. All right, so you have a decent starting point. Then I want to see about adding, of course the cloak's going to cover up most of this, but I do want to add it. I want him to have a dagger on this side. That's something else that would actually get in the way of the tunic flapping. That could come all the way down to his knees. And that'll probably be secured via some sort of strap. Again, I'll have to do some research on how that would actually work, but that's just for the general design. Also, let's take a look at the pants lines. Alright, at the knees, I want him to have some knee protector, some sort of knee protection. So and that would be tied off. Of course, the knee protectors can also have some sort of significant Celtic symbol on it. Yeah, I have to say that I really should have known better that working on such a large file size, eventually that was going to bite me in the ass. As you can see, I'm able to work without any interruption. It's completely like seamless, the interaction. It's much smoother to work with now. So I'm happy I made the decision to reduce the size of the file because it needed to be done. Of course, we'll have that tied off and have some sort of action going on there. Oh, also, you can't see this side, but you can see it here. I want him to have a boot. Relatively, like, mid mid-calf boot. Comes up to around there. So yeah, this is going to add detail to the costume, give it a little character. That's really what's required. Actually, the boot is more of a U-bend kind of thing. Right, for that boot. And that is actually the indicator for the leg is there. Doesn't even, what am I thinking? I got a little confused there for a second. That's not his leg. That's the friggin' pants. This is his leg. So it's gonna be, it's kind of a skinny leg, to be honest. A little scrawny, but he ain't exactly Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's Merlin. You know, different skill set, different anatomy. All right, so he's going to have fur lining the boot, like a pair of Uggs, as in Ugg. I can't believe you made an Uggs reference. All right, got the boot, and you know that'll be incorporated into the model uh, once it's done. But like I can't just cut corners and only render what's going to get seen. I mean, yes, I can, but uh, it would be very helpful if I modeled the entire thing. And there's no point in rendering it, in like modeling only half a boot. You might as well go and render the whole damn thing. So I'll flesh out. I have the boot design relatively fleshed out. I'll continue to develop that as I go along. This is pretty halfway through here, so. Alright. So that's in place. That means this pant leg is going to have to sort of like billow out and get tucked in. It's also going to have to get tucked in on account of these. This is going to get tucked in a little bit more. This is probably going to get baggier, and this is probably going to get baggier, because the pants in general are going to be very, very loose fitting. I think the crotch is going to come down like these are going to be like MC Hammer pants, kind of. All right. Alright, I've got that. And I might as well move these lines, this up here, because I'm going to be working on it up here. So let me relocate that. I can turn off the old, turn off the muscles layer. Go back to the tunic. I can drop these down so that they're very pale. can also drop down the cloak so I can see what's supposed to be underneath it. As you can see, I need a lot more work on that dagger because I will be modeling that as well, but for now, I'm just going to leave it be because I don't need to get into the whole rabbit hole of researching Celtic daggers right now. Alright, so we go back. This is a duplicate of the original tunic layer that I had put together. So I will begin laying down some changes. Actually, I'll start with that belt, like I said I was going to. As you can see, it's much easier to lay down a good, relatively accurate line when you can take your time and you have a guide in front of you to follow. That's a thick leather, so you have to make sure that you account for the width. There we go. Well, that's probably going to come right here. Alright. So I've got the belt in place. Weird. This music is a little nuts. Magic wand tool. Fantastic. There's no leakage. Let's pick a good color for the belt. Brown leather. Oh! Little things. Select inverse. Then fill. There we go. I hadn't been planning to work all the way until 9 o'clock. So I think I will call it a night. Like I said, this was just a test to see if I could get everything to work simultaneously without Photoshop crashing. And it looks like I've managed to do that. So I will be resuming this tomorrow at approximately 7:30. Probably 7:30, but I will shoot for earlier if I can. And like I said, feel free to tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because that will be my set ArtStation Challenge schedule from now until I announce a change. I have been neglecting a couple of other projects that I really ought to spend some time on, and this has just been a fun project, and I haven't had a chance to really draw anything in a while, and it's felt really, really good, and I'm glad that I'm back in it. But I need to, like, I've indulged a little too much in this project, to the extent that I'm ignoring some other things that I ought to be paying attention to. So, that said, let me turn these layers back on. Well, there's really no need. I'll just pick this up again. I'll leave it right where it was. Save it out. It's already saved. Fantastic. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.